Let me be real, I used to hate my period. The very first day I got my very first bleed, I was so depressed. I felt like my life was over. I specifically remember going to the store with my mom to get tampons. Yes, I learned how to use tampons right off the bat. I don't know why my mom was like, pads, we're not doing any of that. You're gonna just, step it up, be a big girl. The day I got my first period, I was absolutely devastated. I felt like my life was over. I felt like it was so unfair that I was just no longer this carefree child, but I had to be this woman who was burdened by this seemingly horrific event every single month. I couldn't believe that every single month I was going to bleed. I had incredibly painful period cramps and just overall felt terrible. Like, it was a bad experience. That was a long time ago. I am now 29, about to be 30 in a few months. Oh my God, I'm so excited to turn 30. And my relationship with my body, with my cycle, complete 180, totally different. Like, I don't know who that girl is anymore when I look back at the sweet innocent child who got her first period and cried and was so angry and upset and couldn't believe that I had to deal with this burden every single month, to me, the woman now who I genuinely, and I'm not just saying this, I genuinely look forward to my bleed every single month. That doesn't mean that there are not times where I'm like, wow, this is really inconvenient, or I'm super low energy, feeling crampy, just like a lot of emotions coming up, this is challenging. That's sometimes just how it is, but I have so much deep respect and reverence and understanding now of the different cycles that my body goes through every single month. And I've learned that when I can embrace what my body, what my womb is trying to communicate with me throughout those different phases of the month, I am in a much better place overall. Truly, just mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, learning how to connect with my cycle in a different way, how to understand it, not just from a physical space, but intuitively and spiritually and emotionally, what my cycle, what my body, what my womb is trying to teach me, and approaching that as I would any other relationship. Like, imagine that you're approaching your relationship with your womb and your cycle the way you would with a lover or a best friend, and thinking about what you want to bring to that relationship, how you can nurture it, what the relationship is asking for, what it needs in order to thrive and flourish and feel supported. Because we are in relationship with everything around us, with our bodies, with other people, with nature, with animals. Like, it's all this one big beautiful relationship that we're co-creating with all of life around us. And it's no different when it comes to your cycle and your body. There's so much depth when it comes to this topic, and there are so many different doorways into how do you actually start to build a relationship with your cycle and understand the 4 phases you experience each month and what that means for you, how it shows up in your body, the lessons there through each phase, the gifts that are being presented, and also the challenges, the icky, sticky, messy bits that want to be seen that come up throughout the month that we experience as women. There's so much there, and I plan to talk about all of that a lot on this channel, so I'm really excited. But I just want to offer to you right now as sort of an introduction, and if this feels new to you and you're like, wait, what? There's like a new way to relate with my body and my cycle that doesn't feel like punishment or something to be ashamed of or to view as a negative thing, but actually this is a sacred process that we women go through every single month. And it's this beautiful, cyclical, seasonal, personal, deeply spiritual initiation that we get to experience every month. But what I want to offer you in this video is the remembrance that every single cycle, every single body, every single womb is unique. And so your relationship with your cycle and with your womb is going to be specific to you. And this is the exciting part, because there's so much information about the menstrual cycle and the 4 phases that we go through as women. And there are sort of like standardized, this is the follicular phase, and so that's what this means for you, and this is what it looks like and feels like. And some of that can be really helpful, especially as a starting point to kind of gauge like, okay, this is probably what this phase is going to look like. But I really want to invite you into cultivating a personal relationship with your cycle and get into communication with the different phases of your cycle every month. Maybe that looks like starting to keep a cycle journal where you track the different phases throughout the month and just notice in your own body what is coming up. How does it feel to be in luteal versus ovulatory? Because I know for me it is like night and day, completely different. And also there are months where sometimes I'm like, am I really ovulating? Because I feel like I'm in the deep, dark pits of hell right now. And it's interesting to just note those things and notice your personal patterns. And then also to just track, sometimes it's just about what's happening in your life externally that influences how your cycle then shows up. And sometimes it's your cycle, your body wanting to communicate certain things with you during that time. And that actually ends up influencing and impacting how you feel, which impacts what's happening in your external. So it's all this, again, this relationship that everything plays off of each other. But it's interesting to start to track and notice for yourself, regardless of what anything outside of you is telling you, how are these 4 phases in your cycle presenting themselves? What is your experience with them? What is being asked of you as you step through the threshold of each of these different phases? So though this video is short, I'm hoping it can just start to open you up to a new perspective, a new world, a new relationship with your cycles and with your body. And for me, no one taught me this stuff. It wasn't till about probably 22 years old that I just started to really initiate onto my own spiritual path, specifically a feminine-centric spiritual path, and starting to really understand the power of the feminine, the power of the goddess, and not in like a fluffy, light, surface level way, but like the descent path, the descent journey of the feminine, and what that actually means to go through this cycle of life, death, and rebirth. And we see that same cycle mirrored in our bodies, where every single month we are experiencing life and renewal and springtime, and then the fullness of summer, the peak of creativity, and just being visible and shining and having so much energy and vitality. And then the starting to pull back inwards and slow down and refine and release and clear. And then the absolute winter darkness, like descent into your personal underworld, deep rest, deep silence, deep stillness, all to then come back into a place where eventually we are reborn and renewed and we start the cycle all over again. And so it wasn't until I started to notice how cyclical not just nature is, but this descent journey of the feminine that we all go through, but especially we as women, like we're so attuned to this and to knowing how to evolve, knowing how to be in death states, and then knowing how to transmute that and resurrect and come back to life in a newer but truer way, more authentic, more aligned. Like, we get that. And we're so deeply attuned to that because our wombs are attuned to that. Our wombs understand that, like beyond time and space. This is like ancient feminine wisdom that goes back thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And it wasn't until I started to uncover that and learn more about that that I started to remember within myself, oh, yes, this all feels resonant and true beyond logic and the thinking mind. Like in my body, in my cells, this makes sense. So if you are struggling with your period, with your relationship with your body right now, and I know there are so many different undiagnosed, dismissed health issues that women face, especially around our periods, and that is a whole other topic of patriarchy and this world that we live in and how they know so little about women's health, and it is incredibly frustrating. So if you're experiencing that right now, I just want to empathize with you and say that I see you, and like we're all in this together, and my hope is that we can start to reclaim some of our power by starting to realize, first of all, how incredibly powerful and wise our bodies are. There's so much intelligence living in your body right now, waiting to be remembered, waiting to be unlocked. And so maybe this video can spark something and get you thinking about things a little bit differently, maybe in a way that feels more exciting and empowering. And you as a woman with a period, like there is nothing to be ashamed about when it comes to that. This is such a beautiful, miraculous process, truly. Like we are the only beings who bleed every single month in a way that is not caused by violence. It's just nature. Anyways, I'll be speaking much more on this topic in more and more depth as we go, but if you're interested and want to know more, leave a comment, like let me know what this has brought up for you, what has maybe connected on a deeper level with you, or if you have questions or are wondering about something specific, I would love to hear. I would love to create more content around this, so definitely leave a comment. If you received value from this and you want to give this video a like and subscribe so you don't miss future videos, that would mean the absolute world to me. I'm so excited to be creating on this platform and connecting with you, and I truly do just want to create a community of women who are interested in this stuff and understand the value of this wisdom. And it is really up to us to reconnect to this, to remember, in order to shift the world and to change the way we start thinking about things. That's all I've got for right now, but thank you so much for being here. I deeply appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video.